Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sully, and thank you to Edie for having us at the Sustainability Leaders Forum. My name is Emma Stewart. I joined Netflix about 15 months ago as the company's first sustainability officer, where together with teams from across the company, I seek to tackle our carbon footprint, raise awareness through film and television content, and engage our millions of members on climate and environmental change. Now, working at Netflix, it's impossible not to start with a film reference. So, do you remember the 2004 film, The Day After Tomorrow, in which scientists' warnings about climate change are ignored, imperiling life on Earth? How about others, Snowpiercer or Wall-E? Same story. As the adage goes, every disaster movie begins with the scientist being ignored. So let's not live through a disaster movie. Let's let science guide our hand. We understand that there is a thickening blanket of pollution that traps heat in the atmosphere. We've known this for 160 years when Eunice Foote discovered it in her greenhouse. That heat causes stronger hurricanes, bigger fires, more frequent floods, and the extinction of thousands of species, what we commonly refer to as climate change. But there's good news. Humans can fix this. To stop the pollution blanket, we just have to stop polluting, and Netflix has a role to play. Now, scientists around the world agree we need to stabilize the climate at no more than a 1.5 degree temperature rise to avoid the worst results of climate change and to ensure healthy life support systems for my children and for yours. And the science estimates we have about 8 years to halve the world's emissions to make that possible. The good news is we know how to do it. So we at Netflix got ourselves organized. We established a sustainability office and invited an incredible group of scientists, policy influencers, and professional storytellers to advise and to provoke us. We also set out 10 principles to guide our path. Among them, move fast, but ground everything in science, focus on what matters, not just what's most visible, and prioritize scalability over novelty. First, we measured our own carbon footprint, and we got that audited. In 2020, that was about 1 million metric tons. Now, you can see in the breakdown here that most of that comes from the production of film and television. No surprise for an entertainment company. The rest comes from our corporate operations and what we buy, and about 5% from the Amazon Web Services and Open Connect network that delivers streaming to your screen. About 6 months into the Sustainability Office's journey here, we launched Net Zero Plus Nature. Net Zero Plus Nature is a combination of science-driven carbon reductions plus the power of nature to stabilize the climate. In other words, we've put our own internal reduction emissions on a third-party verified 1.5 degree pathway, so aligned with the best climate science. And on top of that, we've invested in external projects around the world that retain and remove carbon from the atmosphere, like protecting forests, both above and below water. Now, if you're familiar with that old adage, reduce, reuse, recycle, well, here's one for the modern era. Reduce, retain, remove. We reduce our own emissions in line with climate science first and foremost. We also remove, on the other side of the seesaw, carbon from the atmosphere by regenerating natural ecosystems. And to keep the whole thing stable, we retain existing carbon storage by protecting at-risk natural ecosystems. Now, the well-regarded conservation scientist Peter Kariva once said, "Science tells us what to do, and storytelling makes us want to do it." Indeed, people come to Netflix for the incredible stories told by our creative partners. And climate change, sustainability in general, is one of the most epic stories of our day. It's one creators are already telling at Netflix, while we work to make our storytelling itself more sustainable. I'm delighted to share that in the year 2020 alone, 160 million households around the world chose to watch at least one story on Netflix that shone a light explicitly on sustainability. And they want more. Of the online consumers we surveyed, 3 out of 5 said that they're extremely or very interested in showing shows and movies that touch on climate issues. Many of you will have seen, I hope, Don't Look Up, and the massive conversation it ignited in the press and online around this satirical but cautionary tale about climate inaction. Those of us trained as scientists felt we were Leonardo DiCaprio or Jennifer Lawrence, the scientists who try their best, though often in mysterious jargon, to convey inconvenient truths, assuming that those in power will act on the scientific consensus. I personally was blown away by how many scientists took to the airwaves to say the film was cathartic because it portrayed the frustration that they observe every day when warning people of impending doom. But climate scientists were hardly the only ones. The film has broken multiple records for viewership, making it the second most watched Netflix film of all time, and the first comedy to hit the top 10 in over 90 countries. The conversation in the press and on social media continues unabated, and we've even started to see the climate movement embrace the slogan, "Just look up," in various countries. Now, global polls show that the vast majority of people are alarmed or concerned about climate change, and Don't Look Up just shows us the inspiring possibilities of tapping into that zeitgeist. Viewers who feel inspired to take action are then ushered into an online climate platform that we built in partnership with the filmmakers, scientists, and NGOs. Now, while this is the most recent example, there's plenty of others. So to help our members find some of these stories on our platform, together with the UK government, we curated a collection in advance of COP26 called Together for Our Planet. And these series films and specials cover the real-life beauty of Earth's life support systems like our planet, and the science of climate change, like Breaking Boundaries. But they also have spellbinding thrillers like Ragnarok, Green Frontier, and I.O. Titles like Down to Earth with Zac Efron or The Minimalists show us hopeful solutions and ways that we can each make a difference, while Penguin Town, Izzy's Koala World, and Bigfoot Family delight the entire family. Now, some of these stories have what I would call a green premise, meaning they're explicitly about those inspiring characters, dare I say, everyday superheroes, who are finding new ways to maintain the majesty of our only planet. One title in particular seems to have really piqued the interest of policymakers, and that was Breaking Boundaries, the Science of Our Planet. President Joe Biden shared the film with 40 heads of state at his recent Leaders Climate Summit. 100 Nobel laureates endorsed its recommendations in May, and Sir David Attenborough used it in his G7 keynote in June. But as climate impacts and solutions become an integral part of our daily lives, you'll start to see these integrated into storytelling, both overtly and more subtly. So in addition to the green premise titles I listed, we see creators sprinkling in green moments or green contributions in Lupin, Grace and Frankie, Atypical. You also see green subplots pop up in recent titles like A Castle for Christmas, Sweet Tooth, and even the horror title Midnight Mass. Red Notice, one of our most popular films, brought special attention to an electric vehicle in an action car chase, and then summarily crashed the electric vehicle. In other words, as we seek to entertain the world, there's something for everyone. So for more details, we hope you'll join us at sustainability.netflix.com. True to form, there's a short film there with footage you may recognize from Netflix film and TV shows, but there's also in-depth reports for investors and technical experts. We'll leave you with some of the quotes from our luminaries who sit on our advisory group. And with that, thank you so much, and I'll hand it back to Sully.